it's a hell of a coaching lineup when you see the camera pan to that Japanese coaching box. Like, there's some years of experience and IP in there, but Mitchell is really experienced, and I think he knew. I thought Roger had a great game. I thought he was exceptional in what he was doing in his role as an individual, but I think it showed the All Blacks attack without Havili there as a kick bailout or an attacking kicking option doesn't allow you to slow their defence, and that's a big factor in what's turned the All Blacks game around, is that kick option off Havili, whether it be attacking or his 50-22s. That all fell on Richie, and they knew that. So they just kept coming. They were just like that swarming defence that we saw in that first test against the Springboks. And that's just smart coaching. They saw the team that was selected. They probably knew Davey wasn't going to be picked. And that's not on Rog. It's just that's the nature of the skill sets that each have, and they'll be looking to improve off each other from it. But that was a big catalyst in allowing that Japanese defence to just keep coming. Obviously, we weren't getting the platform we'd like up front, but I always say, like, if you run the same move, you get in the same spot, the throws that are good, you've got to accept that you're going to lose a couple, and if you do, you just got to acknowledge that. And Dearns and Cornelsen are big men. Like, it is, we laughed about Pari and Holland last week for the Highlanders and how hard that's going to be. Like Bryn said, you've got to credit their pack a little bit. Like, they stood up and they performed. I'd say I've commentated a number of Japanese top league games. That is the best I've seen Dearns play. Like, he stepped up in the big moment. So there were some reasons as to why we didn't quite get our attack going, and the simplicity of being direct, but also the change of personnel did change the balance of our attack.
And I look at the preparation side for the Japanese boys as well. Being lucky to be over here, and the kind of preparation that they had before that test match has been really, really good. They were in camp for about 6 to 7 weeks, just being able to fine-tune things, knowing that the India tour was coming and the All Blacks were coming. Had some great development games against the Australian A and being able to use their squad and playing and getting that cohesion, being able to play every single week. And look at the All Blacks side, and this is probably we don't use this as an excuse, but 4 weeks away from not playing and training and getting to be able to be on the training paddock, and then bringing in new players in different positions, like you said. I thought Roger was great around his ability of where he's come in his rugby. His distribution was good at times, had some really good dominant runs and some good carries, but I think you're right, Jip, it's the ability to be able to use that kicking game. And if you don't get that, as you know, like you said with John Mitchell, he's probably thinking, let's just bring 14 men, 13 men up, make good decisions around the ruck, and let them play with the ball and be able to get turnovers off of that. Because look, the likes of Hermino, who I thought was outstanding on the weekend, it gives them guys like that to have opportunities at the breakdown to slow it down and then force the All Blacks to do something that they don't want to do.
Where does Hermino sit in the rankings in world rugby for open side flankers? Because he's been impressive for a number of years now.
He reminds me of Quagga Smith. He's that sort of short, stocky 7. He's great around the ball. He's a strong, aggressive carrier, and he just goes all day. Like, that's the like for like I see in him. But he's definitely pushing into the top 3 or 4 by far, and he's doing it against the best side. He'll have a big job ahead of him this week against England, but they'll just relish that challenge as underdogs. It's sometimes really nice being underdogs. Do you know what I mean? Like, you've got nothing to lose, you can throw everything at it, and the pressure's on the opposition, and you saw that. But I must admit, like, the desperation and the clinical nature of that last few minutes by the All Blacks when the game was in the balance and leading to Dalton's turnover, man, that's what you want to see for the full 80, isn't it? They were just men possessed. They were not losing that game at all costs. They were just going to peg them down there and hold them there until they got that turnover, and that's exactly what they did.
I suppose that's some lessons learned from this year.
Massive, and I still think it is going to hold us in good stead for the World Cup, because there's potentially you're going to have to call on these players in pressure situations, and having felt that against Japanese away from home and finding a way out the other side. I know everyone expects them to be beaten, but I actually think it's unfair. When you go through their side, like even a guy like Riley in the centre, like he was the match winner for Panasonic in the Japanese top league. He's some player, like he's gone over there and he's built his career, and he is a clinical operator at 13. They should have some confidence going into 2023. And the focus that coaching group's putting in, they've got a fantastic leader, and they are just men that whatever you tell them to do, they will turn up and they'll deliver on it, and they'll be relentless about it.
You obviously believe this is a big nod to the top league.
I do. I think like it excites me in the sense of where Super Rugby Pacific can go, and potentially, I'm not saying they join, but have some crossover or some sort of Champions League trophy that's played between everyone, because I think those top 4 or 5 sides are now preparing, maybe even 6 with Brynner's side in there somewhere, are now preparing. The Japanese, eligible players, but also the Japanese local players for international level. Like that, although it might not have been the All Blacks top side, that was some serious talent in that All Blacks team in the 23 out there, and they stood up and nearly stole it.
Well, I mean, last time it happened, Bryn, I think you were in and around the All Blacks camp the last time, and it was a 50-60 point win, right?
That's exactly it. Like you look at the last 3 results, 54-6 in 2013, 69-31 in 2008, which isn't that long ago. And then to be in a position to almost really win that match, it just shows where the level of the Japanese rugby is in the moment. And look, I haven't been in the top league and been able to experience what that's been like for a long period of time, but just being over here and understanding the New Zealand influence, the South African influence, the Australian influence, the coaches in different parts of in Japan, these Japanese boys are getting upskilled at a very high level. So I'm not surprised at all with the result on the weekend, because I've seen how these boys train. I see what their mindset is, and it's been able to just little things here and there when it comes to the mindset around big moments and decisions in those kind of games. That's probably the only area that I see the difference. This is just at my level, but I can only imagine you've got a great coaching group that will be able to just slowly keep tuning that away, keep being able to change that mindset. And once they get that right, man, they are going to be real, because the physicality thing we know was the biggest probably thing for them 4 or 5 years ago. But that now, if you look at it on the weekend, physicality wasn't a problem at all.
The investment they're putting into the international program as well. Like there's always been massive investment at club land, but the investment they are putting, like Bryn said, 6 or 7 week lead in to this. Like they are making every effort to make sure they are competitive in every test, and I think they are seeing the reward for that diligence, that prepared to put their money where their mouth is and be a genuine seat at the international rugby table, and they're doing it.
Yeah, that will be interesting to see what happens, like you say, against England on November 12th. Jamie Joseph.
It is that consistency though, isn't it?
It is.
That is the key for them. Like, this is going to sound, it is easy to get up for a game playing the All Blacks. It's sort of like, how do I put it, similar to here in New Zealand, no sides going into playing the Crusaders underdone. They're going in as underdogs. Crusaders are favourites. Same in the NRL. Storm, now probably the Panthers, are the favourites. They're getting everyone's best game. So it is that consistency and making sure that they have that edge of preparation and that clear understanding and the methodical approach to cleaning rucks, nailing their lineouts, making their tackles and executing when they get the opportunity like they did in scoring points. And that'll be the key going into this English test.
And not just consistently upsetting people every 4 years, consistently upsetting people every year to the point where it's no longer an upset.
Agreed.
Yeah. That Jamie Joseph comment was pretty funny. But I think absolutely true when he said that they'll take on a better team in England on November 12. When you look at that All Blacks lineup and you look at what they're likely to face in England, it's hard to argue that they're going to be up against a better team in England.
Potentially a different style though. Like it is hard to say. I just think there's such differing styles that. But yeah, if England, we haven't seen the English team named yet. Yeah. So let's probably just wait and see on that as well. I'd say that unfortunately not. Maybe after the All Blacks result, they may sharpen, change their lineup a little bit. We'll have to wait and see. But I won't be agreeing with that just yet. Yeah.
If the All Blacks had picked Britain, their top team, then I would say it's an argument that's hard to have. But when you're playing England at Twickenham, it's not an easy place to go and do it.
No, well, it's not. And they haven't traditionally travelled well over to the Northern Hemisphere. A different climate, a different style of rugby, and it's probably good playing the All Blacks because they want to throw the ball around and you can have that kind of expensive gain and knowing that's what you're going to get. But the English, like we've said, they have the ability to be able to do that. But the set piece, being able to be really strong at set piece. But the great thing for the Japanese on the weekend, the line-out drive, which I thought they did really well defensively, and that's something they're going to really have to try and continue that throughout the Northern Hemisphere tour. But it's going to be all about consistency with them because they'll be obviously having a goal. They've been in a camp for a very long time, And even though they did get a good result against the All Blacks, they'll be wanting to come away with the win or being as competitive as they were against these top tier nations in the next couple of weeks.
I think, if you look, as I mentioned, Hoskins Sotutu's try, the lead up to that is that direct nature is what they're going to face against England and potentially against bigger bodies. They are going to have to come up with a solution to get those bodies to ground quicker and stop that. Because if I was the English coach, I would see that and go, that's the blueprint forwards, please deliver that. You don't need to do anything special, just go direct, clean early and give us fast ball and we'll do the rest. With guys like Marcus Smith, Marchin and all that, they've got enough wheels, enough firepower to do just as much as the All Blacks, but I think they have a big pack, England, so that'll be Japan's biggest challenge.